The immortal John Hancock here, and today I'm answering a Patreon question I got from Intrigued Gaming. And there's a lot of parts to it. I'm going to try to answer it as best as I can. And the question is as follows. Intrigued Gaming asks, "Good morning. John, I would like to see you do an episode about the retro gaming community. How it has affected you both positive and negative, financially and or emotionally, focusing more on the latter. How it compares to other online communities you are active in, what can be done to help the retro community grow and flourish, while continuing to be one of the least toxic groups in comparison, and what it means to you and how you would like to see it become in the future." So I'm going to go ahead and start to answer this as best as possible. And so, the retro gaming community has been a part of my life for a long time. I've been collecting over, I would say, collecting 25 plus years, 30 if you count, if I collecting in, high school. But, retro gaming has been a big part of my life, and I would say overall overwhelmingly positive. And, going back way before YouTube, when shows, only had like 100 people show up at them, to me, that in-person connection with a friend or a person and being able to share a story or have someone be the second player in Streets of Rage 2 or Golden Axe and just helping each other out. Community was about, working together and talking and sharing, and it meant it was very personal to me. And even after that, online forums, I met a lot of my friends through forums before Facebook and the social media explosion. And it meant a lot to me, very positive, and it means a lot to me. It means a lot about my friends. One thing I really like about the retro gaming community is I feel like it's very diverse, and that it doesn't matter what walk of life you're from, that you can have a connection to video games. And I think it takes away some of the other stereotypes, and I've gotten so much out of it, and I think it's overwhelmingly full of wonderful people. I just got back from the Portland swap meet, and I connected with a lot of friends that I've been friends with a long time, and so it was really great to see that. And it was a positive experience, connecting with a lot of people who follow me on my channel, but even people that knew me at game shows before I was even doing YouTube. And so it's really diverse. I mean, that's the strength of it. I think the other side of that is that when you have a very diverse population of gamers and collectors, sometimes they clash, and sometimes, especially with gaming collecting, they clash. We've seen that online, and I think that's always the challenge, is that there's a lot of people out there that love video games, and sometimes some of those people want to tell others how to game, how to collect. You're not doing this right. That. They think that, some people think that like their console is better than your favorite console, or they'll see something and say, "That's a garbage game. This is a great game." And sometimes, passionate people can get caught up into that, and other people see that and they see that as drama, or they want to get on a bandwagon on something, and someone will talk about something and then they won't experience that, but they just agree with that person. And so it doesn't bother me. That part, I try to avoid the drama and the toxicity, because for me, I have an opportunity and I choose to just share my positivity with others because I want to brighten someone's day. And we have a personal choice of that. We can either be part of the drama or part of the solution. And I've always kind of taken that to heart with my life, that I have an opportunity every day to either brighten someone's life or to make it worse. And so, I'm a human being like everybody else, and I struggle with things up and down, with moods, and there's times, when I I definitely share my humanity, and so for me, that is sometimes a challenge. Is sometimes I feel that there's someone who shares their passionate opinion about something, and I disagree with it or something inside. That's kind of the challenge where, you know, someone is trying to make a statement about something and they may not have the best social cues, or they may just are just trying to stir the pot sometimes. And you know, it happens. You know, we all get passionate about things. One thing as a YouTuber that I have to deal with all the time is sometimes people like to share their opinions on my comments, and I try to read them both good and bad. And sometimes other people, they're trying to stir the pot, and I try not to let that get me down, and I just move on. Because you know what, the one thing about a diverse community is that there's always going to be people on the other side of the debate or other side. They're gonna see you, or they're gonna have a perspective of a snapshot, and it's not the whole picture of anything, you know. And so the challenge is that sometimes we can get so passionate in the retro gaming community that we don't see like the whole person or the whole discussion. We just want people to hear our side of the story. And this can be pertain to many things outside the retro gaming community. And so the more that we can kind of look at people as human beings and work together, and I think overwhelmingly it's a positive environment. And I have to say, the negativity to me is more individual and more not necessarily a problem with the community whatsoever. I mean, I just came back from the swap meet, and there was just a ton of people that came up, hey, I love what you do, I love your positivity. And I like being positive, and I like sharing something positive about things, and that's just kind of the person that I am. I typically enjoy being happy and enjoy sharing that happiness with others. Other people, it's scientifically proven that some people, it's harder for them to be happy and harder for them to be happy about things and to share that with others. And so it just happens. And so that's sometimes a challenge, is coming across those people and trying to relate and understanding that they do not share happiness, and they are typically just different people, and they may have something great to share, and they're going to share it in a way that may not always be the easiest to hear. And that's the nicest way I can say that. All right. Financially and emotionally, I think retro gaming in general, you know, financially, I look at collecting as something, that's just my main hobby. I really am invested in the retro gaming community. I've invested a large part of my life, and I've never kind of crossed that line of like overspending. You know, there's things in my life that I've sacrificed for retro gaming: space, time. You know, for a while, you know, I pretty much got a second job just to pay for an expansion for my house, and that was a decision I did with my family, and they supported it, and I'm glad I did it. And you know, eventually this collection is going to leave my house, and that's going to be a good thing, because it's going to be moving on towards a museum, and that's really what the whole purpose for me collecting is, to share my collection with others. Now, YouTube has been a great thing because I've been able to do that, and it's been kind of nice to share and talk with others that pretty much can relate to what where I'm coming from, and that's been really great. And so financially it's never been like a burden, I guess, and I've always been smart about it. I've always been, if I don't have the money for something, I don't really worry about it. I think emotionally sometimes the retro gaming community can be exhausting. And for example, you know, when you're a YouTuber and you spend a lot of time and energy in front of a camera, or even just like game collecting at shows, they can be exhausting. Typically, when I'm done at a retro gaming show, I come home and I'm like done. I'm exhausted. Sometimes, especially last year, I had a hard time balancing my day job with YouTube, and it seems to be like the balance is a lot better this year. I've learned to like balance it better. And so for me, sometimes emotionally, sometimes I have limited time sometimes to process sometimes people that disagree with what I'm doing, or disagree about something or perspective or something. And so I've learned to give myself time to process things. And so hopefully I'm answering that. I'm doing the best I can. So what can be done to grow and flourish? And so I think for me is that I choose to join and be part of communities that are positive. And that's actually why I created my own collectors group on Facebook. And what I love about it is just collectors, just talking about games, not talking about any particular, advertising anything. It's just talking about games, sharing what they pick up. And I love this group has grown tremendously. And what I like about it is it's just great, straight up collecting. That's it. And so I really enjoy being part of communities that are just that, straight up, no nonsense. I'm not a big drama person whatsoever, and I tend to shy away from that. I tend to shy away from a lot of like drama and news and stuff. I'll talk about game news that's interesting, or it's in the conversation, but I don't have a channel, nor do I participate in something of that all the time, because I think it's just not me. There's people out there that thrive on that love that, and to me it's not part of who I am. And so for me, I see the retro gaming community just continuing to working together. One thing I love seeing is that I see a lot of people working together to make a specific console better, or I see several different subgroups of people that work together to try to make something successful. So whether it's a video game or a hardware piece for a vintage item, I think of like Atari products on Atari Age. I see a lot of people coming together. Maybe a programmer stuck on like making something work, and so the community will come together and help them overcome kind of a hiccup programming something to make it work. And so yeah, I see that time and time again in just both programming and collecting, and I've seen a lot of collectors come together, maybe help a collector out with answering a question. Maybe a collector didn't know of all the games that came out for a particular console, and so the gaming community will come together and give them resources on where to find game lists and where to find what's the best deals here and there. And there's several examples. Hopefully I answered that all right. And so that's it. So my question back to people watching this is, what do you get out of the retro gaming community? What do you think its strengths are? What do you think the weaknesses are? Comment below. I'd love to hear back from you folks on what you think about the retro gaming community. That's what I think. I think overall it's great. I think it's super diverse. And I think with that comes the challenges where people get really passionate and want to share their perspective with others and may not necessarily see the perspective of other people. And I think that's sometimes the challenge in the retro gaming community. But overall, I see it growing. I see a great opportunity in the future for it to continue to thrive. And today was a good example of that. I went to a swap meet. There was no fighting. Everybody was enjoying retro gaming and, picking up games, that they didn't have in their collection, talking about them, reminiscing about things in the past. And it was a wonderful experience. I just want to thank Intrigued Gaming for sending this question, and I answered it as best as I could. Thank you so much. You folks are wonderful and beautiful, and I thank you for all the support. I'm having a lot of fun doing videos, and I look forward to doing many more. This is the Immortal John Hancock. Take care.